Welcome back, everyone, to Discovering Spain, Wildlife, Culture, and Travel Insights. I'm Mike.
And I'm Sarah.
We usually dive deep into guides for places maybe a bit more known, like Cádiz, Ronda, the Caminito del Rey,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the drill.
Mm-hmm.
But today for this deep dive, we're heading inland. We're looking at the Sierra de Aracena y Picos de Aroche Natural Park.
That's right. A fantastic spot if you want, well, a different slice of Andalusia. It's up in the north of Huelva province.
Okay, so Huelva, West Andalusia.
Exactly. It's nestled right in the far west of the Sierra Morena Mountains. It's a pretty big protected area, too. Declared a natural park back in '89.
Wow, 1989. And how big are we talking?
It covers over 186,000 hectares. So, yeah, substantial.
That is vast. So
Yeah.
what really defines it? If someone's thinking of going, what's the feel of the place?
Well, think green. Surprisingly green for this part of Spain, perhaps. It gets quite a lot of rain.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that Atlantic influence. So that supports these really extensive forests. And the climate's generally mild, plus it's packed with interesting natural stuff, but also a really deep cultural heritage.
Okay, let's pin down that location again. Far west, Sierra Morena. What does that mean, sort of geographically?
Well, it's pretty much the western edge of that whole big mountain range, the Sierra Morena, which runs across a huge chunk of Spain.
Right.
And it's literally right up against the Portuguese border, so you're really on the edge there.
Gotcha. And these dense forests you mentioned, what are the main trees we'd see?
Mostly you're looking at oak and chestnut. They make up the bulk of the woodland. That humid climate really suits them.
Chestnuts. Now, were they always there, or?
That's a good question. While oaks are definitely native, the chestnuts, well, there's a strong link to the Romans.
Really? The Roman?
Yeah, apparently they really encouraged planting them, probably for the nuts, the timber.
Yeah.
So when you see those chestnut groves, you're kind of looking at a bit of ancient history.
That's fascinating. So it's not just oak and chestnut, presumably. Any other trees?
Oh, definitely. Depends where you are in the park. Down the valleys, lower slopes, you'll find cork oak, that's Quercus suber, and also gall oak, Q. phigenia.
Right, the cork oaks, famous in this region.
Exactly. And then along the rivers and streams, you get the usual suspects: poplars, willows, alders, ash, trees that like having their feet wet, basically.
Makes sense. A good variety, then.
It is. Although it's worth mentioning there are some planted species too. You might see stone pine, black pine, even some eucalyptus here and there. They're not native, but they're part of the landscape now.
Okay. And what about underneath? This sort of scrub layer.
Yeah, the undergrowth, it's that typical Mediterranean mix, really. Things like Kermes oak, which is a tough, shrubby oak, smilax, that prickly vine, and the turpentine tree, Pistacia terebinthus, things that can handle the climate.
Anything else significant about the plant life? Maybe something that's not doing so well?
Well, sadly, yes. The Pyrenean oak, it used to be more common, apparently, but it was used a lot for firewood in the past. So its numbers have really dropped. A bit of a shame, that.
Yeah, it shows how even protected areas have these historical impacts. Okay, let's switch gears. Wildlife. What animals might we see? Birds first, maybe.
Oh, the bird life is fantastic. Really diverse habitats mean lots of species. You've got some big, impressive ones like black storks and white storks.
Always great to see storks.
Definitely. And for raptor fans, well, it's paradise. Golden eagles, the Spanish imperial eagle, which is a huge deal.
Oh, imperial eagles?
Yes, booted eagles too. And vultures, griffin, Egyptian, and the big black vulture. Loads of them soaring around.
That's an amazing list of birds of prey already.
And it keeps going. You've got lesser kestrels, goshawks darting through the trees, ospreys near the water, kites too, black-winged, black kite, red kite.
It's many kites.
Yeah. Plus, harrier's marsh, hen, and montagues, cranes pass through on migration. And then there are things like the little bustard, great spotted cuckoo, the red-necked nightjar, if you can spot one.
It sounds absolutely incredible for bird watching. You mentioned colorful characters in the notes, too.
Yes. Those are the flashier ones, maybe, like hoopos with their amazing crests.
Oh, I love hoopos.
Me too. And azure-winged magpies, stunning blue. Bee-eaters, of course, just streaks of color. Golden orioles singing away, and then the shrikes, southern gray and wood-chat shrikes. Little predators.
Fantastic. What about mammals? What's roaming around those forests and meadows?
Well, there's a decent range. Wild boar are pretty common. Foxes, badgers, genettes, those sleek, cat-like creatures. Wildcats, too, though they're elusive. Mongoose, stone martens, polecats, weasels. Your smaller carnivores.
Any larger mammals?
Yes, but they're introduced species. Red deer and mouflon, that's a type of wild sheep, they were brought in and seem to have settled well.
Okay, let's talk about that cultural side you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
How does the human element show up in the park?
Well, one really visible thing is the Dehesa landscape, those meadow pastures,
Yeah.
and grazing in them, ganado bravo.
Ah, the fighting bulls.
Exactly. Big, impressive animals. Raising them is a huge part of the tradition here and shapes the landscape itself.
You definitely associate those with Spain.
They do. And those same pastures, those dehesas, are crucial for another famous resident,
Yeah.
the Cerdo Iberico, the black Iberian pig.
Right. The source of the famous ham.
Precisely. They roam free, eating acorns ballotas from the oak trees. And it's that acorn diet that gives the meat, especially the ham, that incredible nutty flavor everyone raves about.
And that leads us, I assume, to a particular place.
It certainly does, Jabugo. The village of Jabugo is right there in the park, and it's, well, world-renowned as the place for top-quality Jamon Iberico.
The holy grail of ham.
Pretty much. It's the whole system, the breed, the diet, the curing, that all comes together there. And if you're really keen, there's actually a ham museum in the town of Aracena nearby.
A ham museum. Okay, that's definitely unique. So nature and food are deeply connected here. Does the park have water features too? Lakes? Rivers?
Yes, water's important. There are two main reservoirs, or embalses, within the park boundaries. One is the Embalse de Zoufri, and the other is the Embalse de Aracena.
And they're used for water supply, I guess, but probably add to the scenery too.
Absolutely. They're significant water bodies and definitely part of the landscape's beauty.
Now, aside from the general nature, are there specific must-see spots, landmarks, or attractions?
Oh, yes. The big one is probably the Grutas de las Maravillas in Aracena, the Cave of Wonders.
Cave of Wonders. Sounds promising.
It really is. It's this amazing limestone cave system. Goes on for over 2 kilometers, apparently, full of stalactites, stalagmites, just incredible formations. And it has lakes inside. 6 underground lakes.
Wow. Actual lakes underground.
Yep. The entrance is right in the town of Aracena, makes it quite accessible.
That sounds spectacular. What else is there in Aracena itself?
Aracena is a lovely town. It's got history. There's a 13th century church that belonged to the Knights Templar.
Oh, Templars?
Yeah, and the ruins of an old castle up on the hill, which gives you great views over everything.
So Aracena sounds like a really good base for exploring. Anywhere else nearby worth mentioning?
Well, if you head a bit south near Rio Tinto, you find something completely different. The ancient copper mines.
Rio Tinto mines. I've heard of those. They're very old, right?
Incredibly old. People were mining copper there way back in Phoenician times, thousands of years ago. It's got this really unique, almost alien landscape because of all the mining activity over centuries.
What can you do there now?
There's a really good museum about the mining history, and you can take a ride on an old narrow gauge train through some of the open cast areas. It's quite an experience, visually stunning in a stark sort of way.
Sounds like a real contrast to the green forests of the park. Okay, for people planning a trip, what about practical help? Visitor centers, info.
Definitely. In Aracena, in the main square, Plaza Alta, there's the Cabildo Viejo Visitor Center. It's in a lovely old 17th century building,
Right.
and it focuses on the park's heritage, the local crafts, the food, the gastronomy. It's a great place to start.
Good tip. Any other place for information?
Yeah, the main tourist office, the Oficina de Turismo in Aracena, is really helpful. Staff often speak English, apparently, and they can give you maps, info on the caves, the ham museum, hiking trails, all that kind of stuff. Worth seeking out.
Excellent. And what if you want to stay right in the park? Get really immersed.
There are options. One place mentioned is Molino Rio Alajar. It sounds like a collection of sort of rural cottages right inside the nature reserve.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, and they offer activities too, things like flamenco guitar lessons, Spanish classes, but also tennis, guided hikes, bird watching walks. It sounds like a really nice way to experience the area directly.
That does sound ideal. One last practical question. How easy is it to get to from, say, Seville?
It's quite doable. There are organized tours that run from Seville. They often combine Aracena, maybe the caves, with a trip to the Rio Tinto mines as well, so it works well as a day trip or a longer excursion from Seville.
Great. So, wrapping up our deep dive on the Sierra de Aracena y Picos de Arocha, it really seems like a place with, well, multiple layers: nature, culture, food, history.
Absolutely. You've got the beautiful forests, the amazing bird life, the whole Ganado Bravo and Cerdo Iberico tradition, the stunning caves, the unique history of the mines. It's a really rich and rewarding area to explore, I think. A bit off the main tourist track for many, perhaps, but well worth the effort.
And all this fantastic detail we've been sharing today comes from the research and writing of Clive Muir over on the Wildside Holidays website.
That's right. It's a brilliant resource, especially if you're interested in walking holidays or wildlife spotting in Spain. Clive clearly knows his stuff.
He certainly does. And it's not just Aracena, is it? He's put together information for lots of key places in Western Andalusia.
Yeah, he also runs really detailed English language websites for Cádiz, Ronda, Grazalema, and even the Caminito del Rey. You can tell he's really dedicated to sharing insights about this whole region.
So a big recommendation from us, if anything we've talked about has sparked your interest, do check out Clive Muir's Wildside Holidays site and his other town guides. Loads of information there to help you plan your own Spanish adventure.
Definitely worth a look.
Well, that's all we have time for in this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.